Bonjour! Bonjour!
No.
Time for bladder check. Check.
So it's a show?
It's a lifestyle.
It's a religion.
My emotions! My emotions!
I'm still French.
Ouais, c'est pas faux.
I'm a woman, Mary. I can be as contrary as I choose.
Non, moi je crois qu'il faut que vous arrêtiez d'essayer de dire des trucs.
Hello, hi, I'm Laura. I'm gonna watch the Twilight Zone Season 3, episode 24. I just watched one episode of the Twilight Zone today, the episode 8 of the Season 3. If you want to see my reaction video about it, I'm gonna put the link into the eye. Yes, I'm reacting to episodes of the Twilight Zone, but yes, not into the right order, and clearly I'm not gonna react to the entire show, but I think that you know it now. If you don't know it, I'm gonna explain to you what I do with the Twilight Zone on my channel. I have that project on my channel to react to episodes of the Twilight Zone, but it's not something that I'm doing, you know, really regularly. It's really when I have gaps on my schedule, but you know, little gaps, so I can't begin a new show just for making 2 or 3 videos, so I have this little gap. I thought about it, you know, about reacting to a show like the Twilight Zone, you know, with episodes which are independent from each other. And this one, the Twilight Zone, I was really interested to react to it because of the fact that it's so popular. I mean, it was so popular when it was out, and everyone with whom I talked about this show told me how much, you know, it impacted after that shows and movies and stuff like that. And with episodes of the Twilight Zone that I already discovered with you guys, and I already watched some, you know, some from the season 1, the season 2 and the season 5, so at least, you know, now a dozen of episodes, something like that. No matter what, each time I saw that, you know, I picked, you know, some references, some stuff that maybe impacted after that shows and movies which were based on the same stuff, or shows and movies for sure, but also suspense, thriller shows and movies, and also shows like Black Mirror and stuff like that. Like really, the references are so obvious, and it's so cool to analyze that and to think that they made the Twilight Zone, you know, during that period of time. Like right there, the episodes that I'm watching today, these 2 episodes of the season 3, they were made during 1961. So each time it's really, yes, interesting to think that writers had that kind of thoughts during that period of time. And you know, each time, all of the episodes, they are also the mirror of that period of time, with the fears that they can represent about people during that period of time, but also with things which were a little an issue into the society during that period of time and all. Like, I'm thinking about plenty of episodes like that where I picked these things, you know. So it's really cool. The last episode that I watched today, you know, it's the episode 8 of the season 3, and I can't really put it into one of these things because it was about that boy who is in fact a monster, who is terrorizing everyone, every adult, you know, around him, because he can kill people just like that. So they're all acting like the world is beautiful, everything is so great, and he is so great. And it was really an horror stuff, you know, an horror science fiction story, but without really a meaning behind it, if not maybe to talk about these kids, or maybe more, these parents who are telling too much to their kids how great they are, even if they are not, and how the world is better, you know, with them inside and all, even if, no, the world can be bad, and stuff like that. But I'm not sure that it was truly the purpose. It was more really an horror thing, something like that. So it was fun also to watch this other show. Right now I'm gonna watch the episode 24. I'm on Wikipedia, you know, to see when it was out. It was out normally also, oh no, not 1961 but 1962, and March of 1962. It's also based on a short story, you know, like the other one, so it's interesting, you know, when they're doing stuff like that into the Twilight Zone, because it's making, you know, really particular episode with another mood, you know, into it, if I can say it like that. So let's go for this episode. You know, I don't have a lot more to say about it. Remember that if you want to have my Patreon, on which you can have extended reaction part for this episode. Like, clearly, for the Twilight Zone, I'm forced to cut each 5 seconds and to do stuff, to cut a lot because of the videos, you know, to not get blocked. So if you want the extended reaction part, it's on my Patreon, and it's the best way also to support me if you appreciate also these episodes of the Twilight Zone, even if it's just for 1 month, it can be great. Like I said, you know, during the intro of the last episode, not a lot of you are watching these reaction videos about the Twilight Zone, but that's okay. I'm not making videos for views, you know it, you know how I'm functioning on my channel. And I love even more the fact that, okay, I don't have a lot of person watching my reaction videos to this show, but really those of you who are watching them, you are really enthusiastic about it, you really appreciate that. For someone like me, you know, someone young who really never watched any of these episodes, to watch them, to be interested by them, to have things to say about them and all. So I really appreciate that, you know, to read your comments about my videos about this show. Let's go for this episode!
Chambers, it is the meal time. Kindly state your preference, please.
You're on a ship, you're a prisoner?
Please deposit cigarettes in appropriate receptacle. This is a safety measure. You do not care for food at this time?
Yes, I do not care for food at this time.
Very well.
It's not a ship, like you're well dressed for an astronaut. For how they imagined astronaut, you know.
Please conserve water.
What time is it?
There is no time in space. This is to say,
You're really traveling on a ship, not as the one dragging it.
on Earth it would be 12 noon.
This is the way nightmares begin.
But did you choose to be there?
You don't think about 12 o'clock noon on the next day, or the day after that. But that's what we should have been thinking about. Tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. We were preoccupied with the hands on a clock, but we should have been checking off the calendar.
To be too focused on the future and not the present
It was
time?
an April day, and it was noon then too. There was Berlin to worry about, and Indochina, and Algeria, and all the other myriad...
Okay, read that period of time. Okay, it's an alien story.
And that's when it happened. That's when we first heard that they had come.
The sound, you know, and the...
Instead, we went around like
The
frightened
wrong
farmers,
thing.
looking for formulas, themselves cannons. They announced over the shortwave that on that given afternoon, they would arrive on Earth.
Ah, they warned you?
At 11 o'clock this morning, Eastern
Now,
Standard.
nice.
Subsequently, we have had reports of other landing. In the Soviet Union, in Norway, the southern coast of France, just outside of Rio de Janeiro. I can only tell you that at this moment it would be premature to assume hostile intent.
They didn't
So
do
to
anything
see-
wrong?
What do they look like? Yeah, what do they look like?
Do they look humans? How did you imagine them?
It appears that one of the craft has landed just a few blocks away.
On purpose? I want to see you. Oh, you're tall. Yes. Ah! You're bald?
Respectfully
I know!
submitted for your perusal, a canvas, a little over 9 feet, weight in the neighborhood of 350 pounds.
You're talking about measures that I can't understand.
For just a moment, we're going to ask you to shake hands figuratively with a Christopher Columbus from another galaxy and...
Ladies and gentlemen of the
Oh, you have a big
with
head.
you in peace and friendship. We come from a planet far beyond this galaxy. A planet far more developed than Earth.
It's not moving.
Although our own methods of communication are mental rather than verbal.
With that?
We desire above all things to help the people of Earth. To establish embassies here.
And surely some of the questions asked by your representatives must have been identical to more than a few of your own. As a race, we're unaccustomed to charity. Brutality is a far more universal language to us.
Could you please inform us, precisely why have you chosen this planet for your visit? That Earth has been plagued by both natural and unnatural catastrophes, all of which could easily be acted upon and prevented.
So you came
We
to
are
help.
here to help you.
It means that he considers you as a little stupid.
My government wishes me to ask you to what forms will it take? Indeed, if we should prefer not to reveal ourselves...
You're forcing the French accent. It's not a real one.
You will take only that which you choose to take. For example,
Moi.
we will demonstrate to all interested parties a new and extremely interesting power source.
Why having that? You're not really reading something.
Extremely economical.
It's just an act.
Mr. Grigori, the representative of the Soviet Union.
Precisely what are your motives in coming here quite uninvited?
You're also already cliche, you know, you were the bored guy.
There is nothing ulterior in our motives. Nothing at all. We can show you, for example, how to add a certain very cheap nitrate to the soil and end famine on Earth for good and all. We ask only that you trust us. Only that you simply trust us.
It's a lot to ask to the entire world, and for them, you know, to be on the same page also.
Well, Chambers, what have you got? The corker of a migraine headache.
Okay, Chambers, guy who is into the ship.
This is the language of people from outer space, probably 500 times as intelligent as we are. You need more help?
Seems so.
All donations gratefully accepted. Are you saying it's indecipherable? No.
You don't have their alphabet? Just their way to communicate, maybe it's not through words.
Tell you something, Colonel, this is a tough nut. This is a real tough nut. That Canamet, or whatever it is he calls himself, walked out and left this book yesterday at the UN.
You left it on purpose?
Probably unconcerned that we have it. Why should we be so concerned? They've done all right by it so far. Parlor tricks. But I've got a strange feeling. What? We're looking at gift horse in the mouth, too.
That's an expression that I don't have.
And if these candidates are as helpful as I think they are, you boys are going to be out of a job. When this earth gets enough to eat, when there are no more wars or diseases or famines, this is going to be a Garden of Eden.
Your optimism is most refreshing, Mr. Chambers.
I don't
but
know
suggest that for the time
what
being,
it could look like. It's an interesting subject, you know. People, can they accept it really easily or not?
Well, that makes the cheese a little more binding, wouldn't you say, Colonel? I call that a reasonably altruistic phrase.
Sir, ma'am. I hope so.
Gentlemen, the purpose of this meeting is to acquaint you with certain tests made over the past week.
It's the most realistic episode, you know, of the show that I watched yet. You know, with really the political situation that it could imply to have aliens coming and all. Not just a story with regular people.
Since the physiology of the Canamets is unknown to us, was to determine whether or not they react to these tests.
I was gonna say it, you're gonna base that on what? Do they have blood? Do they have an heartbeat?
This instrument records the subject's heartbeat.
Do they have one?
In the palm of the hand, a measure of perspiration, which increases under stress. This
It's
one
a fake
shows
head, it can be a fake hand.
of the electrical waves emanating from the subject's brain.
That, I believe into that more.
How did you get to this planet? Walked. How did you get to this planet? In a spaceship. To bring to you the peace and plenty which we ourselves enjoy, and which we have in the past brought to other races throughout the galaxy.
You know, it's interesting the fact that they couldn't believe that he really came just for that, and I still can't believe it.
Deserts became gardens with the devices the Canamets showed us how to use.
Okay.
This is flight number 267 from Earth to our planet.
My sister wrote you. She says the day you land, they take you on a conducted tour.
Okay, your sister wrote you, so it's not the first time. You have to. Ah! You're bored.
I'm going home, boss. Need me for anything?
Need you for anything like what?
You're not useful anymore.
Nobody needs to decipher much of anything anymore because there aren't any more codes. Simply because there aren't any more secrets.
Because there is no war anymore.
How many of them are around now? Anybody ever figure it out?
A few thousand, I guess. And for every one of them that comes, a few thousand of us take off in one of those ships to live with them. The fantastic ease with which human beings make adjustments.
Seems so, and into a short time.
I'm on a 10-year exchange group waiting list.
10-year exchange
I'm
group?
on the list too. While I'm waiting, I think I'll do the next best thing. I'm still working on that book. Starting to fall into place now.
You never decoded the entire book?
I gave up trying a month ago.
Mr. Chambers!
Oh, she did. She translated
Mr.
it.
Chambers, best of the book! To serve man, it's a cookbook!
To serve man a cookbook? That's why they are measuring you when you're entering into the ship? That way to imagine their ship. Come on, after that, you know, with Star Wars, with Star Trek, with other shows and movies like that, we began to imagine other kind of ships.
You have not eaten enough, Mr. Chambers. Please, enjoy.
You want to feed him like, you know, people can feed pigs and all just to eat them after that. So you're gonna taste better and you're gonna be bigger.
We wouldn't want you to lose weight.
No, you want him to take more.
How about you? You still on Earth or on the ship with me?
I'm still on Earth.
It doesn't make very much difference because sooner or later, we'll all of us be on the menu.
The cycle of going from dust to dessert.
Mm.
The metamorphosis from being the ruler of a planet to an ingredient in someone's soup. It's tonight's bill of fare from the Twilight Zone.
Okay, I got what you mean by that. I mean, at the end, the fact that humans were considering that we are ruling this planet, but maybe at some point, if really aliens are coming from somewhere else, maybe they're gonna really destroy us just like that. Right there, they didn't destroy you just like that. No, they helped you, they fed you, they made your life peaceful and stuff like that, just so you can continue to live and to, you know, to reproduce yourselves, so they can take some of you, they can feed you, so they can cook you and eat you. To serve man, that was well done. You know, I mean, that was a good idea to play with that word. That was a good idea. You know, yes, I said it during the episode. I think that I watched a dozen episodes of the Twilight Zone so far, and I think that this is the most realistic one. I mean, for all of the episodes that I watched, all of them were really about just a group of people or just one single guy, one single woman. You know, it was really like just about a family, just about a group of people and stuff like that. Right there, it's the first time that they are really talking about an entire planet and they are really considering everyone, and it looks more realistic because they are talking about aliens coming on Earth, what it could do, you know, really the political thing aspect, but also the economical aspect in a way, with people who are not useful anymore, if these aliens that are really coming to help because they have technologies that we don't have and are smarter, you know, than us. You know, before that I watched some episodes of the Twilight Zone in which they were talking about aliens, but right there it was really the first time that it was not, at least for most of the episode, not with an all aspect, like there were not monsters coming to kill everyone and stuff like that. So it was really just about, for the majority of the episode, aliens coming and how people on Earth would react to that. People coming, how are we reacting? And for the Twilight Zone, for that story, we are letting them come, you know, because they said that they would come. We are talking with them and we are considering what they are saying. We are a little suspicious, trying to understand what they truly want, because we can't believe that they just came, you know, to help us, to bring peace, food, a lot of good stuff. So because of that, we're gonna take time to test them, to be sure that they are saying the truth and all. And after that, we're gonna believe them, and when we're gonna begin to believe them, it's gonna go really quick, like everyone changing their ways of living in just 1 year. You know, it's a little a way to criticize our societies, the fact that we can't trust people who are just nice and we're gonna test them, but once they're gonna make us believe that they are really there to be nice, we're gonna give everything to them. I'm thinking, you know, like it's a criticize for societies maybe, but also for people in general, because we're all acting like that in fact. The thing, you know, about the different countries, I'm not going to talk about it for sure, the accents and how they were and all, it was a little cliché, but you know, fair enough, I'm okay with that. But yes, all of that thing about trying to decode the book, trying after that to test them with an heartbeat, with things and all, when clearly it was so clear for me that they are not like us because of this face, you know, which is not moving when that person is supposed to talk. So for sure, if the face is fake, the entire thing can be fake. You know, the entire hand, art, everything. Like, are we even sure that they have an art like us, we have an art? You know, I talked about it when I watched some of the Expanse episodes. All of that discussion about do we have aliens out there somewhere and stuff like that and all. If I have to put myself into one of the boxes, you know, about what I believe or not, I believe that somewhere we can have aliens, you know, other forms of life. But I believe also that we're gonna be really, really, really disappointed if we think that they're gonna be like that. I mean, they're gonna be like that, they're gonna have a human form, or just they're gonna have another form like a creature or something like that. Like, we're gonna be really, really disappointed. To think also that maybe they are smarter than us, so they also created technologies, they also created stuff that we could use into our planet and all. Like, for me, clearly, other forms of life into the entire, I was gonna say world, no, into the entire universe, I think it's more gonna be like bacteries, stuff like that, but not really creatures, you know, forms like us. But they can be smarter, you know, but they into their own way. And even if like really maybe we have creatures like things like that, it's not even something that I can imagine, because for me it's gonna be so different than even the creature that we could imagine with an heart, with hands, you know, or with a mouth, or just anything like that. And to imagine that even if they are smarter enough to create a way to communicate, to elaborate a thought, to create things, and to create things that could be useful for them, for their lives, so they made societies, you know, kind of communities and stuff like that. Like, to imagine just that it can be possible, that there is something like that out there, that already I don't believe into it, because it's taking, you know, so many, in fact, things behind that. Like, really to have a form of life which is not just a bacteria, which is something really living, walking, which is really a form, you know, like a form, like a creature with a mouth, with a skin, with an heartbeat, with an head, with a mind, with a brain, with a way to communicate, with a way to think, with a way to do, like our hands, that, you know, with a way to do stuff, which are for sure smarter than us, which created stuff which are useful for them, so which means that they created, you know, cities, which means that they created things really for them, so they could travel to come to us, you know, to travel that far since that long and all. For what reason? Like, really just they want to conquer our planet, or just they want to help us? Like, for me it's such a nonsense to imagine all of that. So that's why I think that yes, out there we can have form of life, because just to have form of life you just need, you know, just simple conditions like water, like, you know, air. I mean, you've got what I mean by that. Conditions which are based on natural thing, so we can have other forms of life. But clearly I think that we're going to be really disappointed on the day that we're going to discover that on another planet, if we think that it's going to be people with whom we're going to be able to communicate, just that, to have another form of life which can communicate, and that we imagine like that, which can communicate with a mouse, with something which can look like something with whom we can talk. All of that, you know, it's already so many conditions on the way of creating something, you know, like a form of life, that for me it's impossible. That's where I'm standing, you know, about other form of life, somewhere. But right there, you know, to imagine that during that period of time they could imagine aliens like that, it's going with it, you know, it's going with that period of time, with people really being concerned by that, you know, by aliens coming at some point. But I think that I talked about it also in other episodes of the Twilight Zone and all, that during that period of time, in a lot of shows, a lot of movies, a lot of stories, they were talking about aliens, you know, because also during that period of time, it was really a time of wars, and people were afraid of, you know, something coming from out of their countries to attack them. And also these aliens, they were looking like humans, because also people were beginning to be afraid of the enemies who is already inside, and that you can't know that this person is an enemy and stuff like that. So it's really going also with that period of time, with these wars and all that context, for people to be really afraid and really concerned of aliens. You know, it was a way for them to make a parallel with their situations, to find an enemy, you know, out there. Do you understand what I mean? So I think that I already talked about that. But yes, at least at the beginning they were nice. So they had you, they caught you. You forgot, you know, to be suspicious. And at the end they have you and they just want to eat you. Not just to kill you, it's really to eat you. And that's why they needed to help you. So you're going to continue to reproduce yourselves and they can have you. A little thing, you know, a little discussion which was interesting during this episode, it's about the fact that if we don't have any war anymore, if we don't have any issue with feeding everyone and all, for sure some people are not going to be useful anymore. All of the militaries and stuff like that, like, you're not going to be useful anymore, guys. Like, some jobs are going to be useless for sure. That was just a little discussion that they began during this episode, but it makes me wonder, you know, about a lot of jobs that disappeared during the last decades, and also jobs which can disappear the same way, you know, during the next ones. It's an interesting way to think about it, you know, if really life was like that, so perfect, so peaceful and all, what job would survive or not? You know, just that, what I'm doing, you know, videos, you can say that it's an entertaining job, I don't know to consider it communication, stuff like that. Would it be still useful? Your job, it would be still useful, in fact? If everyone is living at peace, if everyone is just glad, you know, happy into his or her life, are you still useful? Okay, I'm gonna stop right there this video. That was a good one, that was a really good episode. I really appreciated it. It's all for you and for me for today, so it's all for me for now, so bye for now. Bye.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Great.